Yo, what up, everybody?
WREL. I tried this drug while I was on 5 milligrams of tirzepatide, which is the current most powerful fat loss drug ever made. MK677 done basically canceled half of that shit. You can kind of expect maybe about 3 to 5 pounds of muscle in the course of roughly 12 weeks of using this. Now here's the thing, it doesn't sound like a lot, but 3 literal pounds of muscle you keep after 12 weeks? Man, that's a big deal. Hey folks, Dr. Mike here with RP Strength, and the gains pill is like a real thing, but
I'm doing good today. Just cleaned up around the house, did a workout. Now I'm eating some good food. I've got tofu with Korean barbecue sauce, broccoli and Brussels sprouts with pesto, and some potato wedges.
it has dire consequences if you misuse it. Scared yet? Enough to not click away? Well, let's get into it. So check this out. MK677 sounds like some kind of research chemical developed in one of the moons of Saturn, far away from prying human eyes that don't have military clearance. And in fact, that's not entirely wrong. The Saturn part's
No,
off,
just 2
the moon's
blocks
part's
tofu.
off, military clearance is sort of off. But it is really actually a research compound. And I tried it a while ago and it shocked me. Scott, it shocked me in a way that I found confusing to my sexuality. Did you know that?
Ooh, like you kind of found the shock painful, but then you kind of
What?
wanted some more.
This is me now? I like this?
I get it.
Yeah. So I was really taken aback by the effects of this magic muscle gain pill. And it actually hit me that it really could be a useful substance for risk-tolerant older folks, especially who have real trouble gaining weight and muscle. And it has some serious potential. So let's dig in and do the whole deep dive, all the science. Let's kick it. So first of all, what is it? MK677 is an oral research compound. So you don't have to inject it. It just comes in a pill. And it basically has the end effect of telling your own body to release more of its own growth hormone. And growth hormone does all these magical things for making you jacked, like secreting IGF-1 and so on and so forth. It also helps with recovery. It helps with sleep. It helps with a huge part of the spectrum of making you
I don't know why you wouldn't just take growth hormone then.
gain. And it was initially created to try to be a drug that pharmaceutical companies would sell to fight age-related muscle loss, but it never passed through the approval trials because it had a few quirks about it that weren't that great. I will absolutely tell you what those quirks are, which is why no supplement or drug advice you ever get on this channel is going to be like, hey, you got to get out there and do this. This is really serious stuff with very serious downsides that if you don't manage properly or are too young to do, is going to hit you in the face and you're going to have a really bad time. However, it can be useful in some contexts. It is absolutely banned by almost all formal sports authorities, so you can't take it if you are competing in some sort of sport where you get tested for drugs. It does enhance your body composition, and that's why it's considered cheating. But it does enhance your body composition, so if you're in your 40s and you're trying to use it to gain, and you live in a jurisdiction where it's not illegal, yeah, like you can make an informed choice. The way you would acquire this is it's a gray market supplement. So it's not formally illegal. No one's coming after you, but you don't get it from a pharmacy or from a real doctor, and you don't pick it up from a supplement store. You go on one of these peptide websites and you buy it from a reputable peptide website. And there's lots of non-reputable ones. There's a few really good ones. I'll let you guys sort that out. Actually, ChatGPT will just tell you which ones are good. And you get to it. And it's not itself a substance that does anything. It's like a hormone whisperer. It's like, psst.
Who would win in a fight, Solid Snake or Sergei Dragunov? I think I'd have to go with Solid Snake.
Hey, pituitary.
They have similar
It's like,
fighting
what?
styles.
What do you want, man? Can you you like secrete a lot more growth hormones? Like, wait, am I made of growth hormones? Like, well, it's kind of your job. Like, all right, fine. After this paperwork, I'll file it in. And that's really how hormones talk to each other in the actual body. It's what literally happens. Scott, if you ever on your pillow at night, you're real quiet, you can hear them speaking.
I can hear the horse moaning.
Oh my God.
I mean, hormones.
Oh my God. What is it? Hey, how do you make a hormone? You pay her.
Hey,
Whoa. Hey.
Philly guy joke.
Get out of here. Actually, it's not enough to pay her because she might not be informed of the fact that you are a moaning type. So you have to tell her, excuse me, ma'am, when you're faking this orgasm.
His jokes are so bad. Just shut up and get on with the fucking video, dude.
That you're not going to have with me. Can you please moan? She's like, absolutely, sir.
How about Solid Snake versus Sam Fisher? Yeah, Solid Snake, obviously. Wouldn't even be close.
Your services will be rendered exactly as you've required. That's how that works. Speaking of how it works, how does the actual chemical stuff work with MK677? Well, here's where the stuff gets a little tricky. You're not tricky in like a weird way, tricky in you're getting not just growth hormone, you're getting some other stuff that you have to either manage or benefit from, depending on what you're doing. This drug slides into the exact same receptor that responds to the hunger hormone called ghrelin. The more ghrelin you have, the psychotically hungrier you become. Food focus, cravings, the whole thing, rumbly stomach, your GI tract clears faster, everything. Just more, you can eat way more food and you want to eat more food. We're going to talk more about this later because, yes, this causes a downstream growth hormone secretion because that receptor fires a message to the pituitary gland and says, more growth hormone, please. And it sure as shit does that. But it also hits that entire hunger cascade. So it will absolutely make you starve, which could be a good thing if you're under eating, but we'll get more to that in a second. And so that growth hormone spike also helps secrete insulin-like growth factor 1, IGF-1, which is really, really anabolic and makes you all sorts jacked and heals you and makes you recover. It loads a crap load of glycogen into your muscles. It fills them with water, all this really good stuff. So not only are you going to be getting more jacked if you take this responsibly, but you're also within a few more, just within a few days, kind of like you're looking like full and like thick and like just like you guys, if you're watching this, I'm just bouncing my packs on the television screen. And so it kind of feels like a gains pill, and it is a gains pill. Now, this has nothing to do with your testosterone levels. So whatever testosterone level you already have is just going to be synergistic with this process. So because it hits that growth hormone pathway, it doesn't mess with your testosterone. It doesn't do anything in your testes. It doesn't shrink your cock. I don't know that to be true as a fact, but I took this for like a week and I observed my cock very, very carefully, hourly, I would say. And other than being disappointingly small as always and slightly to the left, it just didn't look any different. So the good news is if you already have small genitals, it probably won't affect them within a week. Now, let's talk about these hunger boosting effects. This compound, MK677, is a near perfect ghrelin mimetic, which means it acts in your body almost exactly like the hunger hormone ghrelin would. And what that typically does is within like an hour of taking it, hunger spikes. Now, your boy literally just was like, hey, I'm going to try this and see if it works. But I had no idea that it acted through the ghrelin pathway. I had no idea it caused hunger. I was just like, I want to.
That says a lot about Mike Israetel. Everybody knows MK677 triggers appetite. Literally everybody. This drug has been around for, at least 5 years? Like, you could just order it online and shit? Everyone has known about this. And even if there wasn't any kind of human research involved, like the amount of anecdotal reports of people having severe hunger cravings, taking MK677, like the effect is so strong and consistent. Even if you're doing like a little Google search online about the drug and seeing what, people have experienced taking it, you're immediately going to find out this drug increases appetite. So him not knowing this and just taking the drug, going into it blind, like, this has to be some, like, crazy ADHD brain retardation. I don't even know how the fuck he could even Google search a place to buy this drug from and then not come across any information that it severely increases appetite.
See if I don't like I get a growth hormone secretagogue that I don't have to like have like vials and needles for or some shit like that. It's nice to have a pill sometimes. And I took it, and like I woke up in the middle of the night to go pee like I always do, and I was like, I'm kind of hungry. What the hell is going on? And then that just got more intense as the week progressed. And I ended up talking to ChatGPT, and he's like, yeah, you idiot. So it's supposed to happen. And I was like, oh, God damn it. Because I was like maintaining / cutting a little bit. And I was like, okay, I really screwed myself over. It was all day hunger. So actually, the hunger begins an hour after you take the pill, and then it lasts through the night if you take it at night, which you should. We'll get to that later. And then more or less through the entire rest of the day. And if you take a few of these doses, the hunger's just kind of constant. And here is where the big upsides and downsides really start to come in. The cravings you're going to have are deep hunger drive cravings, which mean it's not just hunger for physical substance in your body. It's hunger for the kinds of foods that your hunger signaling mechanism is supposed to choose when it detects that you're low on nutrients, which is typically and only the way naturally ghrelin gets secreted. When you're very low on overall body nutrient status, like you're not eating enough, ghrelin starts to go up. Typically, you will experience this at the end of any fat loss phase. You guys know, Scott, at the end of a fat loss phase, you look at someone eating a chili cheese dog and you're like, they must just be having the time of their lives. There's no better thing you could be doing that. It gives you that sensation, but with a pill and within an hour. The bad news is that you're going to want to eat lots of comfort food, mashed potatoes and gravy, fried chicken, pad thai, like stuff that just hits. You're not going to be like, oh, chicken and broccoli, though chicken and broccoli will look more appealing and you'll be able to swallow a whole ton of it, which is really good. We'll be using that in a bit. But careful, very careful if you choose to use this, because it's very easy to just be like, oh, my body demands junk food and here I go. And then you're just going to get fat and very, very unhealthy, because this drug also is not a health drug. It is bad for your health. So if you already have a big problem controlling your appetite, even on a muscle gain phase, this is not the drug for you. I tried this drug while I was on 5 milligrams of tirzepatide, which is the current most powerful fat loss drug ever made that is available through prescription. And 5 milligrams is a low dose, but it's not a low dose. And for me, 5 milligrams, like right now I'm on 5 milligrams as I'm recording this video, but I'm not on MK677. And I'm having trouble sticking to my deficit, which means that it's very difficult for me through the day to even eat enough calories to be in an appropriate deficit instead of like 1,000 calorie deficit, which is insane and causes super high fatigue. MK677 done basically canceled half of that shit. More than half. It felt like I was on like a MIG or a MIG and a half of tirzepatide right away instead of 5 milligrams. And that was a huge, huge deal. And it was not placebo. I can guarantee you that, for one good reason. I had no idea this was a side effect that I was supposed to expect. Literally, I just didn't know. And I actually felt that first, and then I had to look it up, and I was like, oh, crap. So it really is a thing. And
This guy has serious fucking problems. So he took a drug that he didn't know what it does, didn't bother looking up any side effect profile for it, and just took it. Like, what if this made you go blind? Like, he would have just taken a drug that made you go blind? So Mike's a certified retard. Like, this guy is an actual dumbass.
we know it's not placebo because it's been demonstrated in the research, and this exact pathway is the ghrelin pathway, which is exactly what you would expect. Now, this ability for this drug.
Bro, I love how this guy is presenting himself like he's this very learned, educated person. Let me give you a detailed scientific breakdown on this drug. And then he's admitting, I just took it with absolutely no research and I had no idea what it does. Had no clue what the side effect profile was. Yeah, we'll listen to you on drug use advice, dude. What a joke.
To increase your appetite and your anabolic process.
I saw the new Frank vids that he uploaded last night. I don't know if he uploaded anything new. Let's see. Oh, he uploaded a new short. Let me see.
This is 100% gang stalking. Shopify is secretly working with people to defraud small businesses of money. Every single week, I have these ridiculous chargebacks. $700 package delivered to his doorstep of his $1.5 million house. How much more ridiculous can this be? Shopify is facilitating all of these chargebacks. At this point, it's painfully obvious they're in on it. They don't care. They have no concern about destroying small business. I have multiple lawsuits filed in the state and federal court, which they don't seem to care about either. So apparently they've been doing this for God knows how long and getting away with it. But everyone needs to be made aware of what Shopify is doing to small businesses. And I guess I have no choice but to move off Shopify and start doing membership only, because I have a list of these people at this point, the dozens of thousands of dollars that have been stolen from my business over these 5 years.
You'd think if this was happening, like, he wouldn't mention it, because by mentioning it, people learn, oh, I can steal from Frank and get away with it, and then it'll happen more. Like, if somebody doxed me and leaked my address, I'm not going to make a video talking about how somebody doxed me and leaked my address, because then people are going to go search for it and be like, oh, where does Vegan Gains live? Well, that's interesting. And then, like, it'll just get out more and more people will know, and then more people will fuck with me or something. Like Frank is just so stupid. Like, he's borderline retarded. Like, and I don't mean that as an insult, like, medically.
Disease via growth hormone IGF-1 at the same time is the big unlock. That's why this video is probably titled and thumbnailed something like the Gains pill. Because folks that undereat on an attempt to gain muscle number in the millions in the world. It's a real thing. Some people just cannot eat enough to gain weight, especially if they're quite large already, especially if they're quite muscular, or if they have the genetics of like an endurance runner and their body just burns through everything and they're not a big eater. And it's like, I want to gain 10 pounds. And your body's like, nah, you're not going to do that. You're going to gain 2 pounds and you're going to stall out. This is a huge deal for folks like this because it simultaneously increases your anabolism and your hunger. So it switches on the growth mechanisms and helps you provide the nutrients through which to grow. That's a big deal. Now, the really good news about this is that a few days after you stop taking MK677, the appetite things are completely back to normal. And that's awesome because you don't want this thing affecting you any longer than you are really training hard and really eating appropriately. Let's talk about how much muscle gain you can expect this thing to add. The research studies showed a few pounds of muscle. Most of them were in much older adults, like people age 50, 60, 70, who were not training and probably under eating protein substantially. If you are a well-trained lifter and you push protein intake quite high and you are training hard, which I'll get to training recommendations with this drug in just a little bit, then you can kind of expect maybe about 3 to 5 pounds of muscle in the course of roughly 12 weeks of using this, assuming you're doing everything right. 3 to 5 pounds of muscle, of which you might keep after you come off of this thing, 3-ish pounds. Now, here's the thing. It doesn't sound like a lot, but 3 literal pounds of muscle you keep after 12 weeks of going hard for advanced lifters, especially who are older, man, that's a big deal. That's real take-home shit. And you can potentially, with moderate to mild impacts, very controlled impacts on your health, run 2 of those cycles a year. Yeah, you know, like an extra 4 to 6 pounds a year for a few years is like, I don't know, maybe all the gains you've made in the last few years. It's a big, big deal in the real world. Now, you don't get too excited because
like, it's just a growth hormone secretagogue. I would never expect anybody to gain that much muscle from taking MK677. Your body can only increase its own growth hormone production by so much. If this works pretty much only through a growth hormone pathway, you're just not going to build that much muscle off a secretagogue. You could, like, infinitely X your body's own growth hormone by just injecting growth hormone. And again, from only taking growth hormone, I've never seen people make gains like that. So, like, maybe synergistically with other drugs, it would make a bigger difference. But yeah, just taking growth hormone secretagogue without any other steroids, it's not happening.
A few things
I think Mike is just, again, a bit of a tard.
going to happen when you start taking this drug. One is you're going to be training hard, so your muscles are going to balloon up from that inflammation. From
I'm
training.
doing good, freaky,
Two
creepy gamer.
is that growth hormone, when it's higher, typically pulls water into your body. You actually excrete less water in your urine. It fills your muscles and the subcutaneous space under your skin with water. So you're going to gain, like, over 12 weeks, you might gain, like, even if your surplus is really moderate and you're only slated to gain, let's say, 6 pounds in 12 weeks, which I think is a really great idea, half a pound of tissue per week, you'll probably actually gain like 12 pounds on the scale. But then, like, most of that's or like half of that's going to float off after a few weeks. And then you'll remain with the 6 pounds that you gained, of which, maybe half of that's going to be muscle, which is like, oh, guys, that's just how gains work in the real world. There are absolutely drugs that you can gain 12 pounds of muscle in with 12 weeks. But most of them, you end up really jacked in a coffin. This drug's not going to kill you. It's highly unlikely. It's not a health elixir. It's not good for your health. But it's not terrible, terrible, terrible for your health. It's just one of these things where in the interim while you're taking it, it's going to look like you're gaining a lot more than you are. You're going to have amazing training. You're going to get substantially stronger. Nothing nuts, but you will see gains. You're going to have pumps that make you, like previous pumps you've ever had, be like, oh, okay, I've never actually had a pump before, apparently. But if that all cools off, you do get to keep some muscle low. So that's a really, really big deal. What you don't want to do is set up a surplus, see that you're gaining much faster, and be like, oh shit, I got to take away the surplus. You have to feed forward the surplus. You have to know your maintenance calories, and you have to go, okay, I'm going to aim for 300 or 250 to 500 calories more than this every day for the next 12 weeks on average. That's what I'm going to do. And I don't care what the scale does because I know it's a bunch of body whatever. Under the hood, we have the surplus, we have the protein, we have the training, we have everything you need, we have the drug, so it's going to be working. Let's talk about how to take it, timing and amount.
I'm doing good, Chef Poppy. I just did some cleaning and did a workout today. Not much else is going on. Poop and such.
The typical experimental dose has been 25 milligrams taken once per day. They've tried higher doses. There's a huge flatlining of the curve and a skyrocketing of the side effects. Over 25 is stupid. Under 25 is possible. You could start at 12.5 to see how your response is, but generally 25 is pretty recommended for most people. When you take this is not immediately clear. However, because it helps you secrete more growth hormone than usual, and the ideal time for growth hormone secretion is typically at night while you sleep. It's the most anabolic then. It recovers all your systems at that point. It actually allows you to get into a deeper state of sleep, which is really good for every system in your body. It's probably a good idea to get it in just before you go to bed, right? Like your PM supplements and you go to sleep within 30 minutes. If you take it like at 7 p.m. and you try to go to bed at 10, you may be like, I'm too hungry to go to sleep, and then you eat a bunch of food. It's not a good idea to have lots of food just during or after you take this drug, because it really raises your blood sugar to levels that if you didn't have a ton of food are totally fine if you're healthy, young, active, relatively lean. But if you are like just ate a meal with 100 grams of carbs.
Noose Farage Short donated $2.
Did you know that salt is so extremely toxic that just a few tiny grams of salt are deadly for a baby? It's just as poisonous for you as an adult, but because you have more mass, you would...
Where in the fuck did he get that idea? Like, what?
get diarrhea and you would vomit from the same amount of salt. If you would consume more, then you would die instantly from it. All animals react the same way to salt. To test the
I was going to bring up the fact that literally anything can kill you in high enough doses. Like if you drink enough water, your brain will swell and you'll die. But Then I remembered Sverige also thinks water is bad for you. I don't know what he means by salt is toxic or like it's bad for you. Like you need some amount of sodium in your diet. If you didn't get any sodium at all, which there are weird circumstances that can happen to somebody, typically it happens with severe alcoholics. They will only drink beer, and beer has 0 sodium in it, so they end up having brain swelling because their electrolyte balance is fucked. They have no sodium intake, and then they die. So you need salt. Practically every single food you could possibly eat is going to have some amount of sodium in it. So is Sverige saying like all food is bad for you? Like the dose makes the poison, obviously. So I don't even like he doesn't think about any of these things, like he's stupid. So I'm probably overthinking this. He wasn't thinking. He doesn't mean anything by this. He's just retarded.
Toxicity of natural seawater and salt solutions. Experiments were done on animals such as rats, guinea pigs, dogs, and even seals, which live in salt water. It's not surprising that all animals reacted the same way to it. When it entered the stomach, the animals vomited and had diarrhea because of the toxicity. When infused or injected into the veins, they all died. You may wonder why the seals reacted to all of it the same way as the other animals, even to the natural seawater, which they live inside. It's because salt is so extremely toxic that all of the animals that live in the sea have a special protection and filtration system to not let the seawater enter their system. It's needless to say that no animal on Earth has salt inside of their bodies, which is why if salt...
They do. If you didn't, you'd die. Like, salt is an electrolyte. If you don't have it, you're dead.
enters the blood, the animal dies very quickly.
Blood is very high in sodium. So I don't know what the hell he's talking about.
This is why many humans have died from drinking seawater. The next time somebody tells you that salt is healthy for you, you can tell them that even animals that live in seawater would die from salt.
Everyone who watches Sverige unironically needs to be euthanized. Like, they shouldn't even be forcibly sterilized. They should be euthanized. This guy is just so outrageously fucking stupid and crazy. The idea that somebody would watch this guy unironically thinking he gives good advice, they should not be allowed to exist. Well, thanks for the donation, New Sverige Short. I totally forgot what... Were we reacting to something? That totally made me lose track. I don't even know what the fuck we were doing. Oh,
You eat
yeah.
a bunch of food. It's not a good idea to have lots of food just during or fine if you're healthy, young, active, relatively lean. But if you are like just ate a meal with 100 grams of carbs in it and then you swallow one of these things, you're going to be technically in hyperglycemia, which is absolutely not ideal. Can you take it in the morning and then go work out? Yes, that's possible. My recommendation is take it at night. And in that last meal before you take it or whatever, have a moderate amount of fats, quite high proteins. I'll get to that macro guideline in a sec, and very low carbs, if not zero carbs, 0 to 25 grams of carbs. And then you're Gucci and you're doing everything right. You want to take it consistently. So you're going to take it every single day for whatever, 8 to 12 weeks is probably a good time to take it. Much more than that, you're just asking for more health trouble and not so many more gains. You don't want to be intermittent with it. Consistency beats cycling. So every evening for 12 weeks is a really good thing. And after a few weeks, the hunger is going to be coming up the entire time. It's going to plateau. So after about 2 to 3 weeks, you just have the same amount of consistently pretty impressive hunger the entire time. And if nighttime hunger really is just waking you up, then you want to probably shift the dose to first thing in the morning, ideally having some cardio in the morning after that first dose, keep that blood sugar low, maybe going into your weight training session, and then beginning your full day of eating. And you can always start lower. That's totally fine. And so that'll be good to go. Now, how to eat with it is a huge, huge question. Because remember, the food is what's actually making you jacked. The drug just turns on the switch. It's like if you have like a factory that like processes wood and cuts wood. Yeah, it's the power and the machines that cut the wood. And if you build out way more of them, then you're going to potentially be able to have more processed wood in the other end of the factory. But wood is what actually gets processed in the factory. And if the lumber isn't coming in the one end, it doesn't matter how many machines you built out or how much electric power.
Yeah, Vegan San, Sverge's ex-girlfriend talked about this. He eats like a normal person off camera. He'll just eat whatever. Like, he'll obviously eat some weird, dumb foods, but, like, he basically just eats, like, you know, waffles and shit like that. Would social media help us in the eugenics program? Yeah, it'd be easier to track down morons.
You have to those machines, you're not going to do anything as far as production if there's a limit on wood. In just the same way, if you're not eating appropriately with this drug, well, good luck, but you're literally not feeding the physiology that this drug enhances with enough substrate to actually get the gains going. And if you're going to like take the debit card to your health a little bit with this drug, because it absolutely will do that, might as well do a good job. Scott, does it piss you off when people use drugs and they're kind of YOLO their sleep and their diet and their training?
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
I'm just like, yeah, I'll just take drugs.
Like, are you just taking drugs for like recreationally? Do you feel better on
What's wrong
trend?
with you?
Yeah.
He says this when he decided to take a drug he knew nothing about and didn't even bother looking up its side effect profile. Like, buddy, you're an idiot.
The answer is no, by the way. So how do you eat with it? Highly recommended to get a 250 to 500 calorie surplus daily on average. It's not a ton, but it's really, really good. However, this pill is likely to drive your hunger wild, and it's not a health elixir. So you want to stay as healthy as possible and not overeat to become a gigantic fat that no one loves anymore and arguably never did. You guys ever think about that? Has anyone ever actually really loved you? Scott? Parents don't count. Stay not super fat during this time and thus even way, way unhealthier and just not overeat like crazy to be unhealthy for no good reason. And we also don't want to have a situation where we're eating really high calorie dense foods, but we're eating them within the constraints of that small surplus. And then we're like super hungry all the time and pissed and miserable. Stress causes the release of cortisol and other stress hormones. It's not a fun time. Like I was like cutting while I was experimenting taking this and I stuck to my deficit, but I was like, this is annoying. Like I was on a trip at the time. I was working in my hotel room on like a book project. And like every half hour I was like, what time is it? Is it time for me to eat my next meal? I was like, what the hell? It's like I'm not on tirzepatide at all. This is bullshit. You don't want any of that. So what you want to do is create that caloric surplus, 250 to 500 extra calories per day, and you want to fill that up with almost all healthy, filling foods for 12 weeks, which means 1.25 grams of protein per pound of body weight per day, because you really want to make sure protein's not a limiting factor. Gram per pound is great for almost everyone, but you're a drug-using degenerate now, remember? So you need maybe a little bit more, just in case. Some decent research to support the hypothetical that people who are on anabolic enhancers need a little bit more protein. And some of the research you might have seen earlier on this very channel about like, actually, maybe a lot of people can benefit from over a gram per pound. It's contentious, but I would say like, give yourself the advantage here. Also, protein is annoying and difficult to eat, which is 100% a good idea in this case, because you're going to want annoying and difficult because you're going to be blasting through your meals like a younger Scott blasted through the singles.
Dude, I could eat nothing but tofu all day. It's so awesome. Fucking love tofu.
Bars of New York City.
Heyo.
STD free, right, my man?
As far as we know.
And you've never been tested, so it's kind of one of those Schrodinger's cat situations.
Don't ask, don't tell.
Schrodinger's AIDS. That was not in good taste. 1.25 grams of protein per pound of body weight per day. So if you weigh 200 pounds, yeah, man, you eating 250 grams of protein per day. And probably about 0.4 grams per pound of fat per day. Healthy fats almost is the exclusive source. Olive oil, canola oil, nuts, nut butters, avocado oil, that kind of stuff, the good stuff. And so if you're about 200 pounds, you're eating 80 grams of fat per day. The rest can be more fats if you like, but in many cases it's probably advantageous for huge pumps and tons of energy to eat healthy carbs, predominantly fruits, veggies, and whole grains. And if you tell me right now to your iPhone that you're watching this on, but Dr. Mike, I can't stuff myself with fruits, veggies, and whole grains and still get a surplus, you will. With this drug, you almost certainly will. And look, if you're having trouble eating on this drug, then sure, more white rice and more like regular pasta, totally fine. But really assume it's going to drive your hunger insane, because it will. And then if you're eating super clean food like this, it's just going to be a chore to eat it normally. And then on this drug, it's just going to be a really good time. You're going to have food that's exactly as filling as you need. It's going to be really, really awesome. Now, you don't have to be a saint. Once or twice a week, a cheat meal is a fine idea. Make sure you get yourself some Genius Shot or some other excellent protein supplement to get the protein in with your cheat meal. And here's the thing. There's a huge value in just kind of knowing the state of play and knowing what's going on so you can make the best choices. If you're a person that let's say hypothetically your name is Jared Feather, IFB Pro, it's a random name I picked out, and you really love Latinas, but 1 in 3 Latinas are real trouble. If you're in a very diligent phase of your life where you don't want ay Dios mío, then you see that fine ass Latina at the gym and she's like, ay papi, ay Dios mío, come to time for this shit. And if you're Jared Feather, IFB Pro, automatically via the Jerry Force, you say yes, it's not something you control. You are in control. So when you're choosing your cheat meals, there's a spectrum of what's called a cheat meal. On one side of the spectrum is you go and just double up on your regular, slightly less than clean food. What do I mean by that? Let's say you go to Jimmy John's, you typically get one of their subs, and you get veggies in it and meats and all the good stuff. Just get 2 of them shits. There's your cheat meal. You're not going to go off the rails and eat 15 of them. There's only so many calories 2 subs have. You know it in advance. You've picked up from Jimmy John's. You've brought it home alone to your apartment where no one will ever bother you because no one likes you. Just speaking from personal experience. This is painful for me right now. And then you're just going to eat them and going to have your protein shake at night and go to sleep. No problem. There's another end of the spectrum of cheat meals. Scott, what's the most absurd way to get yourself into real deep shit if you have a hunger problem? Pizza at a restaurant?
Insomnia cookies. You order them to your door. They come in warm, a couple dozen.
Yeah.
Just don't stop.
Yeah. A perfect example. Insomnia cookies, bad idea. Why? Well, so if you have 5 Genius Shots with them, you can get enough protein for the calories, but it's mondo, just crazy amounts of fat, psychotic amounts of calories. And here's the problem. People always do this. They order these amazing insomnia cookies, which
I'm convinced the burger dude supports terrorists. I've seen him liked comments on IG saying genocide isn't vegan and Gary's not vegan. He's a genocide supporter. This and that, etc. What the fuck? I didn't take him for a cucked anti-Semitic dipshit.
which I highly recommend. And they do this thing where they're like, well, there's not an option to get 2. And they're like, well, super cheap if I order a baker's dozen, which is 13 cookies, and I'll just eat 2 today. No. And later I'll eat maybe more in 5 days when they're crusty and broken and dry, and maybe I'll give them to my roommate. Yeah, I'm going to do that shit. On MK677, you are highly likely to just drain all of them within 20 minutes of them arriving. That is a fucking bad idea. Pizza, I would stay away from for the most cases because, yeah, you get yourself 2 large pizzas, you are going to drown them shits. And then what are you going to do? You're like, I technically gained 2 pounds of pure body fat yesterday by the calorie measures. Amazing. Bad idea. You get RP Diet Coach app, and it just gives you a giant middle finger, and you're like, shit, it's an app's right, but I don't like to see middle fingers pointed at me because I got pride, baby. I'm saying, hey, Scott, flick me off. Well, you son of a bitch, you really did it. Back there with that fasting blood sugar and a lowering of insulin sensitivity, which is generally bad news. Get your regular blood work as usual, keep tabs on it, make sure everything's totally fine.
I don't know why he'd say that. If you're taking something like growth hormone or a secretagogue, you'd want a blood sugar monitor. So what the fuck does he mean get, blood work? You can just get a fucking blood sugar monitor from Walmart for $10. And then you don't have to go to the doctor and get more expensive blood work done. Is this the first time he's done drugs? I haven't even taken steroids. And I know this. Hasn't this guy used growth hormone before?
You can also have water retention on this. It can sometimes come up as ankle swelling. If it's a real big problem, make sure you hit your cardio 8K to 10K daily steps no matter what. And potentially, if you're eating lots of salt, just reduce your salt a little bit and see how that plays out. If you feel the growth hormone side effects of tingling fingers and joint aches, that might be a signal to pull the dose back to 12.5 milligrams, take breaks, or if you're real tough, just gut it out. I don't know. A lot of people do that. Now, their early research on this drug, which they abandoned because it turned out not to be too safe, and one of the reasons they abandoned it was because it caused radical hunger, and they're like, it just makes people fat because they overeat and don't train with weights. It did identify a possible risk of heart failure in folks that are predisposed. My big take-home message for you on this is do not ever let your blood pressure creep up beyond the normative value of 120/70, 120/80, whichever one of those you like. As soon as it's 126, bring it down. I don't give a shit how. Fat loss phase, blood pressure drugs, any combination, more cardio, whatever it is you have to do. Blood pressure is a non-negotiable. Chronic high blood pressure messes up every single part of your body. We have not found out a part of your body, maybe outside of your bones directly, that your chronic high blood pressure doesn't mess up. And it catches up with you and it's symptom-free. You can't tell you have it until it's too late. And the doctor's like, it turns out your kidneys took the day off in 1997. You've been without kidneys since then.
High blood pressure absolutely has noticeable side effects. It's just that generally speaking, most people's blood pressure isn't high enough for them to notice the side effects. So like if you're in hypertensive crisis, you're probably going to notice. Like you're prone to headaches, nausea, you might feel tired a lot, dizzy. You literally feel like pressure in your head, stuff like that. Nosebleeds. The Wandering Mason donated $2. Is it gay if I jerk off and right as I'm about to come, I roll backwards onto my shoulders with my legs straight in the air and I come all over my own face and lick it all up? Yeah, it's a little gay. Thanks for the donation, Wandering Mason.
Remember, this is an unapproved, and unregulated drug. If you trust your peptide source, cool. If you don't buy there. If it's been batch tested and the batch tests are public online, which most of these great places have, awesome. If not, just don't do it. And staying in contact with a health professional like your doctor or your coach for bodybuilding is a really, really, really swell idea. This is not a YOLO drug, folks. This is not a fucking trend goblin, SARM teen goblin kind of like, oh, my MK677 results and now I finally have a girlfriend. Bam, shut up. You little teen, you little Scott. You know what I mean, man? Are we old men yet?
Yes.
Yeah, we are. This is not a hack. This is a very serious substance with big health downsides. Think of that. Now, what can you take it with? Because I know you guys will be asking, so I have some recommendations. If protein intake is an issue, it cannot be an issue. So definitely protein shakes. Check out Genius Shot if you want. There's any other protein supplements, awesome. Creatine monohydrate at 5 grams per day for the entire 12 weeks, 8 to 12 weeks that you take it is a great idea, maximizing all of your stuff. If you are interested in a bonus round, and you really are a SARM goblin, then responsibly, as an adult, with medical supervision, constant blood work, Ligandrol at 2.5 or 5 milligrams per day for that 12 weeks. Yeah, I'm not going to lie to you. Like, again, we do not lie to you on this channel. It is going to make a difference. It's going to boost your gains. It will not boost your health, and it will reduce the amount of total time that you're likely to be alive on planet Earth. It is a personal choice only adults can make. If you are a gearhead and you're already on the kitchen sink, your usual bulking stack is totally fine. The androgens there are going to do the androgen thing. This does the growth hormone thing. And if you're already taking growth hormone, you can take this on top of it if you're really psychotic to get that extra hunger boost. And a lot of people who are really jacked really do take this every now and again, especially towards the end of bulking phases when their body throws up 2 middle fingers to their hunger response that I can't do this anymore. If you are health concerned, which means every human being that's not totally stupid, you should be taking something like 500 milligrams AM and PM metformin to control your blood sugar, which is also a life extension drug, by the way. It's really, really healthy for you. And I highly recommend 2.5 to 5 milligrams per week of tirzepatide. That's right, otherwise known as Mounjaro or Zepbound, depending on how and where you get it. Tirzepatide makes you more insulin sensitive and insulin responsive. It cancels out, it fights back against that insulin and glucose dynamic, which is really awesome. And in addition to that, it really controls that hunger. The more tirzepatide you take, the less hunger you get. So if you take a decent amount of tirzepatide, not only does it radically reduce the health negatives of MK677, but it also reduces its hunger signaling potential, which means that you don't need to be ultra concerned with overeating as much. You can relax a little bit more. And so with titrating both tirzepatide and MK677, you can get to a place where you have just the right amount of hunger. And remember, tirzepatide is like actually a health elixir. It's good for almost every part of your body. And so not something to just start the same week because you have to be on tirzepatide for weeks and weeks and months to get stable doses. If you're into that sort of thing, then yeah, keep it in. Don't be like, hey, I'm pulling my tirzepatide out for this bulk and adding an MK677. Your hunger's going to go fuck, and your body fat's going to go bah. And then maybe you'll be one of these guys that has to explain to girls at the bar, they're like, yeah, normally I'm like leaner, but fucking like just chasing these size gains. Scott, you know that meme of that?
I have no fucking idea why this moron made this video. So for one thing, MK677 on its own will not help you grow much muscle, if at all. It's just a growth hormone secretagogue. So it's just telling your body to produce more of its own growth hormones. Secretagogues are extremely weak. You will get much more growth hormone into your system if you just take growth hormone. And growth hormone on its own is not particularly anabolic. You need to combine it with steroids, like testosterone, in order to get a synergistic effect to actually grow muscle. So him fucking making this video where he doesn't mention that, and he just says, oh, MK677, after 12 weeks, you can easily put on like 3 or 4 pounds of muscle. And if you run 2 of these cycles per year, that's like an easy 6 pounds per year. So if you're like, you know, an advanced natural lifter, you know, 24 weeks out of the year, take MK677, you'll like triple your muscle growth. Horseshit, nonsense, fucking stupid. You will not grow that much muscle taking MK677 alone. You would have to combine it with other drugs, and if you're going to be taking other better drugs anyway, why in the fuck would you take MK677? Just take fucking growth hormone. Like it's retarded. It's just... And again, he literally admitted in the fucking video he had no idea what the fucking side effect profile of the drug was before he decided to take the fucking drug. As if you should listen to this dipshit on safe drug use. Yeah, I just, like, ordered MK677 online, and then I noticed something weird, and then I looked it up, and oh, it turns out this is a side effect. Right, let's listen to you! Oh my, like, this guy's just become a fucking joke.
Coverage you can count on.
Breaking right now here at 4 o'clock, the White House says President Donald Trump is suffering from a chronic condition. The diagnosis comes after Trump underwent a medical exam for swelling in his legs and bruising on his hands. Brian Schrader in the WRL Live Center. What do we know about this condition, Brian?
Well, this is something that's been developing over the past few weeks, according to the White House. This is a picture from the Associated Press yesterday at a White House event. You can see where the president...
Whoa. Dude, that is horrific. He might have, So this could be a sign of heart failure. Usually people get really severe edema like this when they're in heart failure. There have been a lot of people who've said Trump might not survive his term in office just because he's like this fat, out-of-shape glutton who never exercises. And he eats McDonald's every day. That is really, really horrific edema. He's probably in heart failure.
President's ankle there clearly is swollen. Well, this is something that the White House medical staff took seriously, according to Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. And just about an hour ago, she said that they diagnosed him with a vascular condition.
Bilateral lower extremity venous Doppler ultrasounds were performed and revealed chronic venous insufficiency, a benign and common condition, particularly in individuals over the age of 70.
That is not benign. So So by the way, there's a very good chance this diagnosis is a lie. If Trump had a really serious heart condition that was causing the edema in his legs, they probably wouldn't mention it. And this sounds like an easy way to conceal like an actual condition that he might have that it isn't nearly as serious.
Draw vegan gains dad showing his son some cool t-shirt designs and saying I love you son. And VG saying I love you dad.
My dad has a big nose. I changed it slightly because my dad's name is Dennis, and I don't call him Dad, so I thought it made more sense to say I love you, Dennis. There you go. Thanks for the donation, Gigliardo. So apparently veins in the leg have difficulty returning blood to the heart, blah, 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 pooling in the legs. So, knowing that Trump is a fat, out-of-shape glutton who has never exercised in his entire life, has probably been addicted to upper drugs for a while, has had a lot of stress, is very elderly. He probably has like heart failure or low ejection fraction or something like that. And that would explain the swelling in his legs. And they came up with this shit, you know, because they don't want anybody knowing he's like about to fucking croak.
Chronic venous insufficiency. This is what's happening. Apparently the legs, the veins in the legs, the valves in them are malfunctioning, and that allows blood to pool, and that's why the ankles are swelling. The treatment options range from lifestyle changes to medication, and in advanced serious cases, surgery. In itself, it's not a serious condition, and the White House says they did a battery of tests and indicated there are no systemic illnesses causing those swollen ankles.
I don't buy it. People knowing that he has heart failure is a huge national security issue, so I don't buy it. Dodo $2, let me see. To the 23andMe community, incredibly excited, humbled to share with you the Research Institute, new nonprofit medical research organization, question the 23andMe format to pursue the acquisition. Some ability to learn and benefit from the DNA, some expanding understanding code. Okay, I don't know what the fuck that's about. Dumb fat bitch.
Well, here's my gripe with vegans.
Okay.
I don't like when they're like, you shouldn't eat meat. Fuck you. And then I also don't like that they'll eat meat substitute and pretend that it's better for them. It's so severely processed.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like,
You're a fucking hippopotamus. A fucking hippopotamus is telling vegans that she doesn't want to eat mock meat because it's unhealthy for you. How many fucking burgers did you order from McDonald's? How many, like, you know, sodas with high fructose corn syrup did you eat? How many tubs of ice cream have you eaten in the last few days? How many chocolate bars have you had this afternoon? Right. You're concerned about your health.
there's so many like South Indians, Tamil people, Malayali people that are actually vegan.
Yeah.
And it just aligns with the food that they make, right?
Yeah. They're still eating mostly whole foods.
Yeah. You're not substituting meat anywhere. Why are you substituting meat, bro? You're not cool. You're weird. This is weird. Like, oh, I want plant-based beef.
Like,
there's no issue. Like, if you're vegan, live your life. If
Yeah.
you, like, I have no problem
But
with
don't
you.
make it like a
Personality. I don't want to fucking hear about it.
personality that you then like try to move on to others.
I wish I could fight these people in a cage. There's just no reasoning with some people. You just need to fight them. Dr. Avi voted for this.
Hi, Christina Peterson with Bloomberg. Both Secretary Kennedy and the FDA Commissioner mentioned saturated fats and evolving science on that. Could you expand a little bit on how your thinking has shifted or how you believe the science has shifted?
Look, since Ansel Keys in the 1960s decided to demonize saturated fat with a hypothesis that was supported.
Why do they always bring up Ansel Keys? There have been, I don't know how many, like at least dozens, it's probably in the hundreds by now, randomized trials on saturated fat consumption. So what the fuck are you talking about? What does Ansel Keys have to do with this?
With data that was incomplete and methodologically flawed in his 7-country study. The medical establishment started with a robust debate in the New England Journal of Medicine among academics of the National Academy, but that debate ended in the 1970s.
No, it didn't.
Because there was groupthink. The medical establishment...
No, there wasn't.
...locked arms and walked off a cliff together, insisting that the reason for heart disease in the United States was that people were not eating skim milk and no fat and low fat foods, ignoring the roles of refined carbohydrates and so many other things that drive general body inflammation, which is the precursor.
Inflammation is not a precursor to heart disease.
Of fat deposition in the arteries.
No, it's not. Inflammation has nothing to do with fat deposition in the arteries. And even if it were, saturated fat is pro-inflammatory. It's very easy to cause pro-inflammatory states in the body by elevating saturated fat content in the diet.
Well, that dogma still lives large, and you see remnants of it in the food guidelines that we are now revising. So we're going to ensure that the new guidelines are based on science and not medical dogma. Thank you for that question.
Well, it's not like Americans follow the dietary guidelines anyway. Bad news, VG.
Anybody that's staying out at this point instead of endorsing this incredible dynamic leader is missing an opportunity.
We were just learning skills from him, communication skills. It was not about whether we're supporting him or not.
I think he's a very personable, smart young man.
You're a dumb old bitch.
And I hope we're not going to have a lot of circular firing squads.
House Democrats there after meeting with the newly minted Democratic nominee for mayor of New York, Zohran Mamdani, the self-declared Democratic socialist who topped Andrew Cuomo.
How in the fuck could you, be allowed in the country claiming you're a democratic socialist and, you're clearly a jihadist, hate Israel? Fucking insane. Well, whatever. Who cares? New York can just blow up. Thanks for the donation, Dodo. Also, literally no one's saying that meat substitutes are healthy. No one's sitting here thinking the Impossible Burger is good for you. Yeah. They're just fat-ass, dumb fucking cunts. Yeah, I saw the trailer for Mortal Kombat 2. Noob Saibot looks cool. Jerry, donate $2, random stupidity.
I didn't eat any food for 2 weeks, and now today I have to not eat food again, but it's not what you think. I have severe digestive issues. Earlier this year I had SIBO, I had emo, and I had parasites. One of the ways to treat those with or without antibiotics or natural remedies is the elemental diet.
So, for one thing, no. Starving yourself for 2 weeks, elemental diet, whatever the fuck that is not a treatment for parasites. Secondly, ivermectin and other anti-parasitic medications have zero side effects. There's no risk to taking them. And your parasites will be gone within days. So why in the fuck, if you have parasites, would you not just take anti-parasitic meds. Her saying that, like, it just makes me think this is a crazy person like Frank Tufano who has an eating disorder, and she just woke up one day feeling like a neurotic, paranoid idiot, and then just made up in her mind that she has parasites because she had a weird-smelling fart and had a headache.
The elemental diet this is literally medical grade food powder. And the idea is that for a period of time, you consume only this with water and you give your digestive system a break. This is almost entirely carbohydrate. You can buy a low dextrose formula, but as an athlete, the higher carb formula was just fine for me. What I did was I mixed this with some leucine and BCAAs to make sure I was getting enough protein, because this alone is not enough protein for someone like me. So for 2 weeks, all I did was consume medical grade food powder. And yes, it was probably more annoying for everyone around me than it was for me, because it gave me a break from my severe and chronic bloating that happens as soon as I eat something. But I literally had to carry around like this little cooler of food like everywhere I went. But the reason why I'm doing this again is because I'm having a colonoscopy on Friday, so tomorrow. And the day before, you're not supposed to eat anything except clear liquids. And everything on the clear liquids, like approved sheet, is disgusting, not actually good for you. Powdered lemonade mix, white grape juice, apple juice, Jello, etc. There are some good things on here like bone broth.
Okay, this is just a dumb bitch. There's no help for these people. Like, again, this is why we need eugenics. Thanks for the donation, Jerry. Dodo to Nutillers. Well, if Trump follows his administration's advice, then he will eat more saturated fat to cure his heart disease. We'll see how that works out. Seems like they're mostly agreeing with you. Read the comments. For those who don't know, veganism... Oh, cool, he uploaded the video. Would you eat me if I were a worm? I'm not a vegan, but at this point, it's more weakness, hypocrisy on my part than disagreement. Really don't have much of a rebuttal to Gaines's arguments. Interesting. I don't think there's a single good argument against veganism that I've heard. I'm not vegan or anything, and I generally hold the same axioms as you, but the thought that kind of scares me when I try to justify it is the possibility of a higher level organism making the same judgments about us. Well, yeah. I mean, like, what's funny is this was actually the plot of Gantz. I don't know why this is never talked about when people talk about the Gantz manga, but that was literally the plot of Gantz. I'm not vegan, but PF literally ended the debate by explicitly abandoning logic, thus losing any and all debate topics indefinitely. Great way to start off the video, letting him say his premise, then straight into it, no fluff or pre-ramble. With all due respect, Vegan Gains came out of this as the winner. Oh my god. Well, you know. At least that's well received, you know. So that's cool that he uploaded the video. I'll probably upload, you know, what I filmed. But that's cool. Thanks for the donation, Dodo.
And this condition. And it is common. About 150,000 people are diagnosed every year in this country. About the bruising on the hands, another thing that reporters have noticed. You can see makeup covering the president's hand yesterday. According to Caroline Levitt, that is a result of frequent handshaking. Now, WRL's Grace Haba is going.
He has heart failure. Guaranteed. This guy probably has a weak heart, low ejection fraction, and all kinds of shit. This is way too coincidental. He has way more serious health problems that they're clearly trying to cover up.
Going in depth on this condition, she'll have
frequent handshakes. Like, are you serious? Buddy, I lift weights every single fucking day. I hold hundreds of pounds in my fucking hands. And I don't have fucked up hands. Like, that is the most ridiculous fucking excuse I've ever heard in my life. So, yeah, this guy's health is going to shit. And, like, if this guy's hands are literally getting torn apart from shaking somebody's hand, like, this guy's about to fucking die. 21st $20, did you enjoy my donations last night? Yeah, great. They were great, dude. Thanks for the donation.
more coming up on our news at 5 o'clock.
Well, you know, he's got plenty of.
Yeah, Trump's gonna die soon, dude. This guy's gonna fucking...
Because they are winning. I'm saying that the build bridging fucking worked for them.
They didn't build the bridge. He jumped ship.
They did. Every single person who wants to move towards the left, they embraced warmly.
What part of the Republican platform changed to embrace Tulsi Gabbard?
Nothing. They just
Then they
embraced
didn't build
her
the
and then
bridge.
hold on.
What did I think of John Bravo? Culture vulture. Culture vulture, bro. Like, he attacking men that's trying to help y'all. Like, if y'all don't see nothing wrong with that, I don't know what, man. So, you know, that right there is not a, you know, that's not a good person.
Asshole, Kali Muscle. We haven't talked about him in a long time, that piece of shit. You know why? Because no...
Why Thahal were you not on that Titsiny panel? Get her some next time, do you understand me?
I don't know how I'd go about doing that, but thanks for the donation, Dodo.
Nobody gives a shit about him anymore. It's gotten so bad, right? That all he's doing is running around town with his big tittied boyfriend, right? Filming videos with each other that none of us ever asks to see.
That's right. Pull that shit, man. Pull that shit.
They've gotten so desperate for views, right? You know how they always say, they never talk about another man, right? Well, that's what they're doing because they can't get any views otherwise.
Yeah, you know what? Where the Tran twins at? Where the Tran twins at? Let's have a lift off. Where the Tran twins at?
Where the Tran twins?
Hey, where you guys at? What you want to do, man?
Remember, his plan was to shut me down and illegally strike my channel, and I got my lawyer showed up at the asshole's doorsteps and scared the shit out.
Hey, I'm really drunk. I got thrown out of a wedding. Clearly you weren't drunk enough if you got thrown out. Because if you were truly drunk, you should have been able to fight back. So, I don't know. Maybe you didn't do enough.
Out of him, so they left me alone. Well, because that didn't work. Now, he's going on live, trying to say that some dirty, dirty thing from my past is gonna come out, and nobody's gonna like me anymore. But I can tell you something. No matter what I did in my past, I was never no Chuck Basher.
Why you gotta do John Bravo? What? Why?
Jerry donated $2. She's the same chick who says this shit, and when another male fitness influencer called her out in her rebuttal was basically, I'm a woman, and if you as a man disagree, you're sexist. Well, we all know women are stupid, so it's not like that matters. Shia sucks at running, by the way. I've never seen anybody like run like this It's like a weird robot or a bad animation, but like when you sprint, she's going... Like, she actually sucks at running. Why sprinting is superior? The type of cardio you do compared to incline walking. I don't know how the hell she thinks sprinting stimulates strength and hypertrophy. It doesn't. Yeah, she is just dumb. Thanks for the donation, Jerry.
You don't know how to get on a Ditsiny panel? Do you also not know how to get dressed in the morning? Do you need help wiping us too?
I have help from my cat for getting dressed in the morning. And, I figured out how to clean my own bum a few years ago. Thanks for the donation, Dodo.
Why you gotta do John Bravo? See that all the betas like John Bravo. They like him gossiping about men.
She's like T2000, don't you mean T1000? The T1000 actually knew how to sprint. Yeah, he knew how to sprint. Yeah, look at him. Yeah, no. His arms are just going up and down. Yeah, no, he knows how to sprint.
That's beta. That's what betas do. Betas. I know, David. I know you want to suck John Bravo off. I know, David Russell. We know that. Everybody see.
Shit.
Bible. We get it, bro. You want to suck. You want to eat his booty. We get it, man. We get it, Dave Russell.
So Kali Muscle and Big Boy, their channels, they're both dead. You know, it's like a deserted island, dead in the water, deep in the grave, deep in the mud, just like that roly.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, they're gone.
Polly, we know that little pig, Miss Piggy, how he loves to roll around in that same mud. Their channels are dead. They don't do anything. So they got desperate. And you know what I think happened? I think they were watching the Trend Twins. Remember when those two guys, they were running around in their Speedos, right? I think they saw that video. Something happened to them. And now they're talking about them in their videos, wanting to do videos with them.
Do you think you and your crew can handle me?
Yeah, you know what? Where the Trend Twins at? Where the Trend Twins at? Let's have a lift off. Where the Trend Twins at?
Where the Trend Twins?
Hey, where you guys at? What you want to do? Let's do it.
Let's get it. Yeah.
That's some hardcore clout chasing.
Oh, man. You got that duo, we got that duo. What's cracking?
Exactly.
Let's do it. We calling out the Trend Twins. We just go at it.
Come on, let's see what y'all about, man. Y'all ain't had no competition yet. Y'all ain't went up against some of the OGs. What's that?
But let me ask you a question, you know. Aren't those two guys a little bit young for you? I mean, we know what you sickos do in your videos together. Do you really have to get everybody involved in this shit?
That's right. Pull that shit, man. Pull that shit. Yeah. Show us what that discipline look like. Yeah. What that discipline look like.
So now, Chucky, he went on live, and he starts putting my name in his mouth. Remember, he doesn't talk about other men, but he's talking about me too, just like he was talking about the Trend Twins. But we know already, this guy loves talking about me. He can't get my name out of his mouth, right? Who knows what he's thinking about me in his head, right? Well, he goes on live and he calls me a culture vulture, which I never even knew was a fucking term. I had to Google it, but yeah, calls me a culture vulture, says I'm talking shit and making videos about good people that are trying to help people.
What I think of John Bravo? culture vulture. Culture vulture, bro. Like he attacking men that's trying to help y'all.
Kind of looks a lot like a gorilla. For some reason I think the gorilla might be smarter than he is, but he does look a fair bit like a gorilla.
Men that's trying to help y'all. Like if y'all don't see nothing wrong with that, I don't know what, man. So, you know, that right there is not a, you know, that's not a good person to just make up stuff on people. He been slandering me for about 10 years, bro. You know, we out here helping people. We not out here hurting people, doing wrong, gossiping, making up stories and all that.
But I'm thinking, how am I a culture vulture when the videos that I make on here are to expose bad people doing bad shit, scams, doing...
What Trump is doing is getting Democrats to care about the Epstein files, so he will eventually release them and expose Bill Gates, the Clintons, Biden, the Obamas, Ellen DeGeneres, etc. If he did that without getting Dems to care, it'd have less impact.
Why wouldn't Trump just release the Epstein files? I think you might be retarded. Thanks for the donation, though, 21st.
shit to people taking their fucking money like you did with the crypto, right? I'm not making videos on Mother Teresa, good Samaritans, good models of society. I'm making videos on pieces of shit. So now, you know, like I said earlier, his plan about copyright taking down my channel because he wants to shut me up somehow, right? Well, now his bright idea is that he's hoping and he's praying that some dirty, dirty shit about my past is gonna all of a sudden, after 10 years I've been online, gonna magically appear, and when people find out about it, they're not gonna like me anymore. So look what he says here in this clip, and try to ignore his ass crack, because when I see that thing, I don't want to imagine what that thing has been through.
If your favorite YouTuber ain't got an autobiography, they hiding something. And you know, all those people y'all talk about, Johnny Bravo, all that, bro, he got, y'all see in a minute. We'll see if y'all fuck with him when they come out, man. But this is what I got. You know what I mean? I've been an open book. For those that know, I wrote a book, man, about my life. You know what I mean? Like all these people y'all romanticize, you don't even know nothing about. Well, yeah, I mean, Johnny Bravo, awesome to betas. He talk about men all day. Go on his YouTube channel, nothing but Wes Watson, Collie Bustle, and Big Boy.
So you see how he's saying, we'll all see how you fuck with him when that shit comes out, right? Well, like I said, I've been on social media for 10 years. The only shit I've done bad in my past is I went to jail a couple times. 4th Avenue in Phoenix with the biggest pieces of shit ever. I'll never forget that experience, right? But those charges were dismissed. And saying that, I'm not a perfect person by far. I've made many, many mistakes in my life, right? But you know the difference? I fucking learned from them, and they made me a better person. And that experience, I learned from that, even though I shouldn't have been there. I learned from it because I said, this place is so shitty. I never want to end up here again. But saying that, we're all human beings. We all make mistakes, and we learn from them. The people that succeed in life are the people that learn from their mistakes. The people that fail are the ones that fucking repeat them. Like you. You went to prison, right? For robbing people. And God only knows how many cells you were passed from cell to cell, block to block, getting pegged in that ass of yours. And you still come out. And you never learned the fucking lesson. You went to prison for robbing people. You come out, right? What happened to that crypto shit? Did those people get their fucking money? Or were they robbed? You would think you would have fucking learned a lesson. But you never learned a fucking lesson in life. And think about this one, all right? You would think going to prison, right? Getting pegged who knows how many times by how many people, you would come out and you would have learned your lesson and you would have became a better man, right? But no, you came out and you liked getting pegged so much. You did it on camera as Chuck Basher for the whole world to see. So if you didn't learn your lesson from that shit,
Chuck Basher,
nothing's gonna teach you a lesson, you asshole.
So gossip been getting views, but it don't last. I done had at least 100 guys like in cycles that talk about me, and they all die off. Haters get tired of haters hating.
Well, your YouTube channel and social media is in the dumps, so I'm not so sure about that.
New Trump health fears have absolutely exploded because Donald Trump's
Joey persists. Joey. He persists. He persisted. Joey. 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 Joey persists. Joey. He persists. He persisted. Joey. 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 Joey persists. Joey. He persists. He persisted. Joey. 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 777 quadrillion 777 trillion 777 billion 777 million 777,788.
Wow, that's amazing. I didn't know he could persist that much. Wow. Well, thanks for the donation, Thee Then Thou. Appreciate it. Oh, shit. I'm having, pretty bad lower back problems. Not weight training for the last couple weeks. My low back was feeling pretty, like, a lot better. But I trained today and it's getting more aggravated again. I don't know what the issue is, but it's very uncomfortable sitting in this chair right now. Kind of sucks.
bruised hands are now being covered up with very obvious makeup, and he has both ankles notably swollen. Wow. And they don't tell us a damn thing. So let's start here, okay? First and foremost, you may recall that for a while now, Trump's right hand at the top of the hand, right, has been bruised, notably bruised and swollen. In new video from the White House just hours ago, you see that Donald Trump is now very obviously covering the bruise with makeup that doesn't quite match the color of his skin, sort of like what he does to his face, quite frankly. And you can see the swollen hand, the makeup.
Dude, it's hilarious how this fucking guy who hates trans people wears fucking makeup. Like, Republicans are just a fucking joke, dude.
And this bump, the bruise could be from an IV, could be from a large number of things. We're going to talk about that in a moment. Trump's ankles are very swollen. They seem almost wider.
That is crazy, ridiculously bad swelling.
Than his shoe. Speculation, is he wearing very strong compression stockings? Is this bilateral edema? What is this? We just don't know. Now, we are left in a position to speculate because, number one, this isn't normal. There's the audio doesn't really matter. There's visual evidence of this. And the White House insists that Trump is just so damn healthy as a horse. Nobody's ever been healthier than Trump. It's incredible. And so we are left to sort of ask the question, what can cause this combination of symptoms? One of the things that keeps coming up online is congestive heart failure. Of course, not something that the White House has disclosed. You can get peripheral edema due to congestive heart failure, very common in older folks who are overweight. Fluid builds up in the legs, right? Gravity pulls it down. Bilateral ankle swelling is a common aspect of it. Possible jugular venous distension, shortness of breath, right? We don't know. You know, Trump does breathe very heavily. And you can also explain the bruising because Trump's veins are fragile, could be poor vascular integrity, blood thinners, a whole bunch of different things. Secondly, could this be the result of some medication? Could it be, you know, if you put elderly...
Can you twerk for $49.99? Yeah, I guess I could. 1 penny off, I could tolerate that.
Folks on warfarin or other anticoagulants, also known as blood thinners, that can cause some of this. It causes easy bruising, especially on the hands and the arms, especially after a blood draw or getting an IV. Now, the White House previously said the bruises on Trump's hands are because he's so vigorously and passionately shaking hands with people. I think you can sort of do the math yourself and say to yourself, could you really get a huge bruise on the top of the hand from a handshake? Doesn't really make sense, but easy bruising as a result of blood thinners in an IV spot for something that hasn't been disclosed that Trump is getting via IV, certainly a possibility. And then there's also something called chronic venous insufficiency, common in older, overweight, sedentary folks with Trump, which Trump is. And what can happen is basically damaged leg veins aren't returning blood effectively. So that builds up and you see that lower leg swelling. You can see skin changes. You can see varicose veins. So there's a very long list of other things. This is the more common stuff. If they were transparent, we would know. And instead, Trump's doctor says, this guy is so damn healthy, nobody can believe it. And of course, no, we don't believe it. That's exactly right. We don't believe it. And the bigger picture of all of this is we know they are dishonest about Trump's health while obsessing about Biden's health, even now that Biden's no longer in office. And we know what's going on with Biden. He's got metastatic prostate cancer. So we go back to the first term of Trump. They've already tried to cover up the state of Trump's health when Trump had COVID, and they flew him by helicopter to Walter Reed. There was dishonesty and deception all over the place. I know this is not new information to many in the audience, but I think it's important to be thorough and remind people who have not seen that segment. We were given one picture of Trump's health when he had COVID and saying we were told that he was brought to Walter Reed simply because he's the president out of an abundance of caution. The real reason we ultimately found out was that doctors were concerned based on the trajectory of Trump's COVID, that if he waited at home, he might have to be taken to the hospital on a stretcher. and that the optics of that would be so disastrous. Trump didn't want it. The people around Trump didn't want it. They said, let's just get him to the hospital early. You might remember once Trump was in the hospital, we had these daily briefings during which we would often hear questions like, did Trump receive oxygen? And the answers would be cagey, and they would sort of be like, the president is not currently on oxygen. And we figured out, oh, actually, he clearly did get oxygen at one point in time. So we don't have to speculate that they would.
They're lying about his health. Like, again, this guy's like fucking 80 years old, eats McDonald's every fucking day, overweight for the longest time. He's probably been on like cocaine and shit, Adderall, you know, whatever. This guy, almost guaranteed, done deal, has congestive heart failure. And they came up with some bullshit diagnosis to tell to the public because it's a national security issue. If everybody knows he has like a serious heart condition. So yeah, this guy's not gonna survive till the end of his fucking term. Or at least very good chance he's not gonna survive till the end of his term. Good chance he's just gonna... Bro, you know what would be hilarious? If he dies right around the height of this whole Epstein thing, dude, the QAnon conspiracy theorists are gonna lose their fucking minds. Guaranteed if Trump dies within the next, like, few months, everyone is gonna fucking start saying it has something to do with the Epstein thing. They're gonna blame it on Israel, claim Mossad agents took him out. Guaranteed. Just you wait. If I dono 10K, would you do 10K sit-ups? Yeah, I guess I'd have to. I have to stretch out my back. This is very, very annoying. Oh, fuck, god damn it. Oh, shit. I'm thinking about making a pizza. Should I do it? That's a question that only you can answer. Everyone has their own pizza destiny.
Already been 5 years since COVID first started. Time sure flies when you're having fun, right? But after all this time, there are still people arguing about where SARS-CoV-2, the virus that...
Oh shit, this is 47 minutes.
Hi everybody. Welcome to my very first YouTube video. And welcome to my channel. If you don't know me, my name is Hannah. I'm an IFBB Pro female bodybuilder, and I've created this channel because I want to tell my story. So in the past couple of years, I've noticed a lot of younger people getting into bodybuilding. So I wanted to create this platform to tell my story, to hopefully help somebody make smarter decisions than I did getting into it. And I won't bore you with the details of how I got into it or why I got into it. I'll kind of focus more on what I did wrong. I am currently still bodybuilding. I do plan on doing my pro debut late next year. But these are just some of the things that I got very, very wrong getting into it. So these are some of the things that I would caution, especially young women getting into the sport. Starting with, I'll just jump right in, obviously my voice, the elephant in the room. I'm not trans. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I'm not. And it's a side effect, a direct side effect of gear usage, which is, if you're not familiar with bodybuilding at all, a very, very prevalent part of the sport. It is quite literally everywhere, and even if the industry says that it's tested, there's a good chance they're not actually tested.
No, he's got something to hide.
What's with her eyes? She's kind of got frog eyes where one's pointed that way, one's pointed this way. And why is it so dark over here?
That's the only reason it's not out there. If this had anything to do with Democrats, baby, it would have been on day one. That promise would have been fulfilled. But he wanted access to those files, and he wanted...
Yeah, she's just got frog eyes.
...to see how bad it looked for him, and unfortunately...
Oi ignorant fuck, I asked burps are sit-ups now, you don't have a fucking choice. 3 sit-ups now and burps will be later, do it now, no lazy bullshit, stop being ignorant.
I'll do the sit-ups later. Thanks for the donation, Bootycam.
After having a glimpse, I think he's decided that he just wants to move on and talk about something else.
And of course, getting into this sport, if you're enhanced, which most people are, just being completely transparent, there's not a whole lot of natties out there. There's a lot of fake natties. There's not a whole lot of real natties. And you would know if you stepped into any gym. I'm not saying that they don't exist. I'm not calling anybody out here. But from my experience being in this sport, or whatever you want to call it, some people don't call it a sport, whatever, being into bodybuilding since 2013 is when I started. There's a whole lot that goes behind the scenes that people don't talk about. It's gotten better that I've seen in the past couple of years, people being honest, but it's still not completely honest in my opinion. There's still people claiming to be natty when they're not, which is... the point of this channel is not to call that out. It's to give my story, tell my truth, if you want to say it that way. But really to give another perspective. I don't know. There's not much out there when it comes to the female side. So one of my first mistakes when I first got into bodybuilding was listening to the wrong people. And what made it really hard about my unique circumstances was that I got into it in a time before social media was really a thing. I mean, it was a thing, but like TikTok didn't exist, Instagram didn't exist. I think Facebook did, but things weren't as talked about as they are now. Coaches were not vetted. They were not, nobody was qualified to do what they were doing. It was kind of like a whole lot of mess.
Wouldn't say she's hot, but like not terrible either. It's not the worst looking female bodybuilder I've ever seen, but it's got an alright butt. I think she's just on too much steroids.
And so a coach had approached me and ended up, I told him what I wanted. I told him I wanted to be as muscular as I could. I told him that I, was willing to do whatever it took, which was probably not the best words that I could have chosen. But also I didn't really know the extent of what could be done with enhancements and things like that. Was completely new. And I was 22 when I first officially got into bodybuilding, when I got my first coach. And he immediately put me on so much gear, so much gear. And I had no idea about the side effects. I didn't know the risks. He actually told me that there was no risks, and that's why my very first mistake was listening to the wrong people. So getting into more of what I have experienced as a female bodybuilder, I've experienced the voice, enlargement of certain things. I've lost my period on several occasions. One time for almost 3 years. I have experienced hair loss, skin issues. The most recent one is cystitis, which I'm still currently dealing with, unfortunately. And my doctors do think it was directly related to gear usage. And eventually I will get into all this. I will break down exactly what I was.
I've noticed a lot of chicks who take steroids make really fucking dumb, boring videos.
Do you think school children at school should have access to books in their library which involve strap-on dildos?
If the person is brown, they need to be rounded up and put into quote-unquote alligator Alcatraz, a concentration camp in Florida. If the person is white, we let them start a business and become Elon Musk.
Do you know how many people Barack Obama deported in 8 years?
I don't know and don't care.
Well, hang on. You don't know and you don't care. The majority were brown.
Absolutely disingenuous argument, Piers, because this is your shtick.
It was your shtick.
It is your shtick, and everyone knows that it is.
It was your shtick. People got bored with it. Have you watched Brokeback Mountain?
No.
Are you posting on your blog that you wouldn't watch Brokeback Mountain because you don't want to see two male characters having sex? Your words, not mine, Joy.
And your point is?
I've actually got Michael Knowles waiting in the wings.
Great.
Is there anything you'd like to say to him? The MAGA base is at war over the Epstein files, but hostilities have not ceased on the Democrat side either. This week, former President Obama told a DNC fundraiser that it's time to toughen up and stop whining, navel-gazing, and being in fetal positions. He urged Democrats to stand up for the things that you think are right. The problem, of course, is that Democrats don't agree on what they think is right. They are only united in saying that Trump is wrong. That point was illustrated in colorful language by former CNN host Chris Cuomo.
I don't give a fuck how many likes you get on your comments by hating Trump, because it doesn't win the race. You get 42, 44%. That's what just happened. Trump sucks doesn't win the race. My frustration is with you thinking you keep doing the same thing, which is just pound on this fucking guy, which is easy enough to do, but you don't win the race. So now what you're doing is doubling down on Trump sucks by outrage and making your own MAGA. I don't think it's going to work for Democrats.
Well, 8 months on from the election, it's not clear who is leading the opposition or which direction it will choose. There are the pragmatic centrists like Josh Shapiro and Pete Buttigieg, who are socially liberal but hyper-focused on electability. And there are the radicals like AOC, Bernie
No, I don't know Bonnie Blue.
Sanders and Mamdani, who want to burn it all down and start again. Many people, myself included, saw Trump's victory as a culmination of a huge backlash to identity politics and its unhealthy obsession with racial justice, woke activism, and demonizing opponents. Many people, including myself, saw Joy Reid as a strident advocate for identity politics, exhibiting an unhealthy obsession with racial justice, woke activism, and demonizing opponents. But she can respond to that because Joy Reid.
No, haven't heard the Suicide Boys new single. I don't really follow them all that much. Is it any good? I did like one song they made, but you know, Poopy Doopy and such.
Who hosts the Joy Reid Show on YouTube, joins me now. Joy Reid, welcome to Uncensored.
Piers, thank you for having me.
Well, we've never met, I don't think. We've never spoken to each other. I think we've locked horns a little bit on social media in the past. I think I'm blocked by you on X. I can't remember what crime I committed, but probably Trump-related. Just first of all, what Barack Obama has said and what Chris Cuomo said there, has that given you pause for thought about what the Democrats should now do? Because it's all very well just shrieking constantly about how evil Trump is, but it clearly hasn't worked now twice. You know, the fact that the guy went away for 4 years and then came back and won again was an utter repudiation of the tactics to beat him, wasn't it?
Well, first of all, I'll say I have not blocked you on X, Twitter.
Can I send you the music I listen to? Well, I can't listen to it on stream.
Because I haven't been on X Twitter since Elon Musk acquired it. I actually left the platform, so there might be someone posing as me who's blocked you. So
I think it was prior to Elon's purchase.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, so this is an interesting conversation because there is no one who is more obsessed with racial identity politics than Donald Trump. He ran the most racial identity politics laden campaign that I've seen in my lifetime, and I've been following politics since I was 12. The point of his campaign was, if I was to sum it up, that immigrants, whom he identified as gang members from Venezuela, as people from S-hole countries, as essentially any non-white migrant.
Please draw Cenk Uygur sweating profusely in agony with an apple in his mouth while being nailed by Babe the sheep pig while Farmer Hoggett stands by saying that'll do pig. That'll do. Cenk must be depicted as insanely Katamari fat and sweaty. Puddles.
Fuck. That doesn't look like Jink. Let me see. His name is really weird. All right, let's try this. Oh, yeah. Actually. How in the fuck? There's no gap. I don't know. Fucking whatever. And Dodo, tell us if you had to pick a white collar career, what would you pick? Probably selling like cocaine or fentanyl or something like that. I think that would probably make the most sense. Thanks for the donation, Dodo. All right, thanks for the donation, V. Appreciate it. All right, well, there's the drawing request of Cenk Uygur sweating profusely in agony with an apple in his mouth while being nailed by Babe. The sheep pig while farmer Hoggett stands by saying, "That'll do, pig." And he's very fat and sweaty. Thanks for the donation, Donkey King's sheet.
Migrant or immigrant in the country were vermin who were poisoning the blood of our country.
Well, he was talking about criminal, illegal immigrants. He was talking. Well, hang on. He was talking. You can't misquote him off the top. This is my point, though. This is my point. I remember. Let me just say something, Joy. I remember when he won in 2016. I was at the New York Knicks the next day with my eldest son, and Chris Rock was there at the next table. We got talking. I said, "Why do you think Trump won?" And he said, "You know why?" He said, "If someone's murdered 8 people, stop going around saying he's murdered 9. And he didn't mean Trump had actually murdered anyone. What he meant was there's plenty to criticize Trump about. I've done it myself many times. But there's also a lot of stuff that resonates with people. And I think it's the over-exaggeration, the over-demonization of Trump is part of the problem. And your characterization of his depiction of immigrants, you said the word immigrants. Actually, what he was talking about repeatedly on his stump in his rallies was specifically illegal immigrants who come in illegally, who are criminals, who are already convicted criminals, who've come into America across the southern border in huge numbers, who are criminals. He wasn't talking about non-criminal immigrants, as you tried to put it there. So there is a difference.
False. No, first of all, it's absolutely false. Let's talk about, for one example, the Haitian immigrants in Ohio. These are people who were in the country on a legitimate visa, who are actually improving that community by taking jobs desperately, where people desperately needed to hire and did not have any, enough American-born employees, and they were hiring these folks. They were taking badly needed jobs. They were improving the community economically. He accused them of eating people's cats and dogs. He characterized them as if they were animals. These are people who his own administration had allowed into the country on a legitimate visa.
But I agree with you.
First of all, I'll stop. Let me just.
But I agree with you.
So his all-encompassing term about immigrants being vermin and poisoning the blood of the country was all-encompassing because it included them. And in his mind, it included anyone who he said came from an S-hole country, meaning if you came from Nigeria, if you came from the Gabon, if you came from any country in Africa. He in a blanketed way depicted immigrants, again, with Nazi terminology, vermin.
Well, let's leave Nazis out of it. You know what? Whenever people...
And wait, let me finish
but Joy, whenever you think... It's taken you what? It's taken you 4 minutes and you've called him a Nazi already. Come on.
And now, what we're seeing are masked federal agents sweeping up cooks, abuelas, people who work on farms, picking up dishwashers, any brown person. And Tom Homan said, based on one criteria being their appearance, it's overwhelmingly brown and some black people. We're not seeing them sweeping up white folks on the street. Donald Trump ran a racial identity campaign. And yeah, this is America. That is appealing to, unfortunately, a lot of Americans.
Well, actually, it turned out to be very appealing to Latino Americans who voted for him in record numbers. More Latinos voted for him than voted for Kamala Harris, the non-white candidate. More Black Americans, African Americans voted for Trump this time round than first time round. So for
Not
this,
true.
for this,
Statistically, it was the same.
no.
I'm gonna have to grab Hey, get the fuck out of there. I'm gonna have to grab a pillow and blankets and stuff. My back is just fucked. I need to sort this out. Be right back. Let's see. That might be better. What are you meowing about? No meowing for no reason. Better have a good reason for that meowing.
Same number of black
It was
Republicans
actually
voted for him. They've always
more
do.
black
No, it's the same.
Americans voted for Trump
Google
this
it.
time than
It's
last
the
time.
same. It was the same. And by the way, this is the other challenge. There is a phenomenon, and my family are immigrants, and there is a phenomenon among immigrants of slamming the door behind themselves. And and by the way, more Latinas, women in the Latino community voted for Harris. But there is a phenomenon. If you talk to people who actually are in the community and study this and spend a lot of time on it, journalists who studied it, there are a lot of Latinos who want so badly to identify with Americanness that they identify against fellow immigrants. That is not a new thing.
No, but maybe they weren't identifying. Maybe they weren't identifying. But Joy,
that's not new.
Maybe they were just
blackness. And
maybe
racism
let me respond
inside
to
the Latino
that.
community is not new. It's
Let me
something
respond to that.
exists.
Maybe they were just sick and tired of people like you, and I say this respectfully, but people like you constantly calling Trump a Nazi. Maybe they thought it was ridiculous
Maybe
to compare.
don't call people vermin
Well, let me
and say they're
finish.
poison.
I've played Just Cause 2. It sucked.
I wouldn't get too comfortable. You owe me how many sit-ups? It's now 6. Now please.
I honestly don't know if I'll be able to do them. My back is really fucked, dude. Thanks for the donation, Bootycam. I played Just Cause 2. It sucked. The controls were just horrible. I played Just Cause 3. The controls were a lot better. But I found the game pretty boring and repetitive, and I didn't play Just Cause 4.
Let me
the blood
finish.
of our country. That's
You
not
have
the terminology.
repeatedly,
Don't use it.
You have repeatedly, over the last few years, called Trump a Nazi. Now, the Nazis were the most despicable, awful human beings we've seen in 1,000 years. They murdered 12 million people, 6 million Jews in the Holocaust. Trump is not a Nazi. So
And
when you
first
do
of all,
that, you fought it. Let me finish.
Hold
Let me
on.
finish.
You've just done what you normally do. I have said he uses Nazi terminology, and that's a fact.
Right.
Saying people are poisoning the blood of our country, that is Nazi talk. That is what I've said about Trump. I will stand by it, because if you're calling people vermin and saying that they're poisoning the blood of our country, you are lifting language out of the Nazi playbook. That is very different from saying that Donald Trump is perpetrating a Holocaust such as in the 1930s.
Right.
But what he is doing is straight fascism. That's not me saying it. Mark Milley, his former Joint Chiefs of Staff chair, said that he is a fascist to the core. His former chief of staff says he's a fascist. And the things he's doing, masked men snatching people off the street, not even showing any identification as law enforcement.
Let me ask you a question.
Men dragging women,
Let me ask you a question.
children into vans, fascism.
You've made this
straight
point.
up. I will stand by that any day.
Let me ask you a question about immigration. It's a very interesting topic at the moment, as you rightly observe. What are the fruit you eat to stay healthy? It's actually making you fat. According to Heart Surgeon, an uncensored sponsor.
Oh my god, he's promoting Dr. Gundry. Oh, that's shameless.
Dr. Steve Gundry. Many Americans are making a common mistake with revealing view for what it's worth, as somebody who is an exceptional alien, is how it's described on my visa to the United States. But I have a home in Los Angeles, and I love America. I've lived and worked there for 20 years. My view is that most Americans, I think instinctively, do not have a problem with the principle of deporting undocumented workers who commit crimes in the United States. Would you have a problem with that as a policy?
As a policy, if people get a hearing and they go through a process, sure. But that is not what's happening.
No, I'm going to come to the next bit.
Hold on, that is not what's
Joy,
happening.
I'm going to finish my point.
It's not what's happening.
I wanted to see what you were prepared to agree with me about, because I think it's healthy to the debate, right? So we both agree about that, which is good. Now, I don't think that they should have pressed the button on deporting as many illegal immigrants who are there undocumented but who've not committed crimes in the way that they're currently doing. That they should have sorted, first of all, people who are in the country illegally who commit crimes and deported them. Everyone would agree with it. But I agree with you. The wholesale pulling of people off the street who may have been in America for many years, got families in America who pay taxes in America. You only have to talk to farmers to understand the devastating impact this may have. So on that, I would agree with you. But I also think that, and I hope you would agree, that Donald Trump has pretty much stopped completely the number of people coming over the southern border illegally. And under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, over a 4-year period, as many as 10 million people are believed to have come over the southern border illegally. Now, you must surely think that the Trump way of securing the southern border is better for the United States than the Biden way.
First of all, if those are Donald Trump's numbers about how many people came in over the southern border, I don't buy them at all.
What numbers do you buy?
Anything Donald Trump said.
What numbers do you buy?
And let me go on.
Well, how many do you think it was?
Let's just say it was.
Well, Joy, how many do you think it was?
No, let's just say I'm going to stipulate to you. Let's just say it was 10 million people. Are you asking your viewers to believe that 10 million people were in the country raping and robbing rather than working on farms, working on construction sites?
No, I didn't say that.
We have to recall that so again, being in the United States without documents is a civil offense. It is not a felony. And so the reality is, if it was 10 million people, we have to ask ourselves, what is the pull? America has always run, from the time that people who looked like me were enslaved, on cheap labor, on free labor to start itself as an empire, and then on a constant pull of cheaper and cheaper labor. That is a pull that is pulling people over. And then, of course, there's the push of the destabilization in Central and South American countries. That is the push. That push-pull is a fact of life. And it was a fact of life when Donald Trump was president the first time.
But what's that got to do with how many come over the southern border illegally?
No, the difference is now, if you let's say where you end all undocumented migration to the United States, all that would do is put a burden on the pull part of it, because you have industries that desperately rely on farm labor, on construction labor,
but why shouldn't you have a system?
That's not an
okay, but why? Okay, but Joy, why
raising it to zero does nothing to change my life.
But Joy,
for the better.
why shouldn't
but
people?
What it's done is
why shouldn't people? Let me just ask you, why shouldn't people do what I had to do?
Hi, $8. This will surely boost your appetite and libido.
BioLife Parmesan. It's fantastic. It's so good. Spaghetti is not complete without this grated on top. Baked ziti, I love to grate it on top in the last few minutes and then bake it some more. There was a while where they didn't have it at Fred Meyer. I was so sad. So yeah, if they stopped making this, if they stopped selling this, I would be very sad.
You know, of all cheeses too, Parmesan cheese? Like, Parmesan cheese is awful. I hate her a lot. I bet she also likes yogurt and pineapple on pizza. I fucking can't stand unnatural, not vegan. Thanks for the donation, hi.
When I wanted to live and work in America, and then just go through a proper process and get accepted to be allowed to come into the United States. That is how a normal, well-controlled border works. So what you seem to be suggesting is that because America's economy needs a lot of workers, we should simply have a system where anyone can come in. And if that's not your belief, then how would you regulate the southern border?
I'm going to say to you that if the policy were applied the same across the board, that would be one thing. It's not. Marco Rubio's grandfather didn't do it the right way. He overstayed an order of deportation, stayed anyway, and was allowed to remain in the country. Elon Musk's brother says, and Elon Musk disputes it, but Elon Musk's brother said they overstayed their student visa, started a business which would have been illegal for someone on a student visa. We're allowed to stay. They are white migrants, and somehow that was okay. What we're seeing is a selective enforcement of this outrage. If the person is brown, they need to be rounded up and put into quote-unquote alligator Alcatraz, a concentration camp in Florida. If the person is white, we let them start a business and become Elon Musk. What's happening is that Stephen Miller has said he wants 3,000 people a day rounded up, and he has said he doesn't care where they have to get them. He wants ICE going into Home Depot. He wants them going on construction sites, going onto farms, and dragging brown people into detention. They're putting people in private prisons that are unregulated by the federal government. We've heard stories of people eating rotten food, having to use the same water. You still haven't told me what you would do. For the restroom. And so the reality is, what we have right now is we have a system of literal terrorism against brown migrants simply because Stephen Miller does not want them in the country.
As you know, they're not all brown, as you know.
Well, the vast majority are.
Well, but you haven't answered my question also. If you were running the southern border, if you were in charge, if you were the border czar, what would you do? Would you let them all in, or would you stop some of them coming in?
The first thing that I would do is to look at some of the actual legislation that's been put on the table before. You have a very small number of immigration judges who deal with people who are presenting themselves for asylum, which, by the way, is perfectly legal. It is legal to present yourself for asylum, but there are scarcely any judges doing that work. Multiple times, bipartisan, members of Congress, the House and Senate, have tried to pass legislation that would increase the number of those judges. If you actually had enough people to adjudicate asylum cases at the border, it would make that easier. I've actually been to the southern border and looked at the process and looked at the previous version of detention that Donald Trump did in his first term. First of all, it was horrific, and it was abusive even then to children. But
and were you was outraged by Barack Obama's deportation program of over
absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that Barack Obama made some compromises that I do not think were morally sound in order to try to lure Republicans into doing the immigration reform.
Do you know how many people he deported?
Since Marco Rubio joined the gang of 8.
Do you know how many people Barack Obama deported in 8 years?
I'm sure you're going to tell me.
Well, why don't you guess?
I don't know and don't care.
Well, you don't know and you don't care. You've just given me
because it's not the issue. You're trying to make the issue the southern
border.
border.
You've just given me Joy.
The point is, Barack Obama was not dragging women and
let me finish.
nursing babies apart and taking.
This is just AIDS, dude.
Joy, you've just given me.
No,
You've just,
I'm sure going to tell me it's your main issue.
You've just given me.
But it's not my main issue. My main issue is that what we're seeing.
I'm trying to finish my sentence. You've just given me a lengthy monologue attacking Donald Trump's aggressive deportation policy. And I've simply said to you, there was a Democrat, a black Democrat president of the United States for 8 years. I'm simply asking, given that you're obviously all over every detail of the Trump deportation policy, and given you were on the airwaves in America on a daily basis through Obama's tenure, how many people did he deport in 8 years?
I do not know. You'll tell me. I'm sure.
Have a guess.
But it's probably more than 1 million people. I'm quite certain. Because I think each 2 million.
It was 3 million.
Okay. And your point being what?
My point being, are you as shocked by that as you are claiming to be by Trump? If you're stressed about back taxes, miss the April deadline, or your books are a mess, well, don't wait. The going to win. You'll get a free help on your taxes.
It is not deportation.
Many of them were brown.
Shocking. Wait a minute.
In fact, the majority were brown.
One moment. It is not deportation in and of itself that is what is shocking to people. There are 2 things that are shocking. Number one, well, I'll do 3. One, it is not deportation to render someone to a third-party country they have no connection to.
I agree.
Rendering people to El Salvador is shocking.
And that's why he's come back.
Done by Biden.
That's why that guy's come back.
Done by George W. Bush. All right. So that is shocking. Yep. Number 2, deporting people with. Well, that's only one person. They deported more than 200 people
he's come back.
to that gulag. Yes, they deported more than 200 people, 70% of whom CBS has determined had no criminal record
whatsoever.
But
why are you changing the subject from Obama's deportation policy?
I'm telling you, the 3 things that are shocking are not deportations themselves. It's deporting people, number 1, to third-party countries like the Sudan, where they have no ties whatsoever, simply for the cruelty of doing it, essentially paying third-party countries.
I asked you about your response to Obama. Obama deported more people than any president in American history.
If someone receives Piers, my family are immigrants. If there's a deportation process, at the end of that adjudication, you are deemed to be deportable and need to be.
But you're missing my point, Joy. I'm trying to politely ask you: do you condemn?
Different from what we're seeing now.
Here's my point. In the interest of fairness, do you condemn Barack Obama's deportation policy, given that he deported more people? Let me finish. More people than any American president in history in his 8 years.
What an absolutely.
Like again, she's making a fair point that like Barack Obama wasn't deporting green card holders and what seemed to me be like just American citizens and sending them to Venezuela. Sort of a big difference there.
In disingenuous argument, Piers, because what people are yes. No, I'm gonna explain if you'll allow me.
You didn't even know how many he deported.
Because I just said that first of all, I think it was a moral compromise that I disagree with vehemently that Barack Obama made to try to lure Republicans who were never going to really come to the table for immigration reform. I disagree with what he did. But if there's a process for deportation, that's one thing. If you are rendering people with no process, if you are rendering them to third parties, and if you are kidnapping them off the street as if this is 1930s Germany or South Africa in the 1980s, that is what I find objectionable and I find fundamentally fascist and will stand by that every day. What Donald Trump is doing is a moral horror. And if you can't see that, I don't know what to tell you.
I hear you. All I tell you is that Obama deported a hell of a lot more people than Trump.
The issue. The
and
issue
most of them were brown. And last time I checked, Barack Obama isn't white. So it may not be a race thing.
Now you're the one obsessed with race. You want to make this a racial argument. The argument is that the Obama administration,
you made it a racial
the Biden
argument.
Administration, because Donald Trump
you said Trump
black
is
people,
deporting people based on their skin color.
Well, it is what he does. He plays racial politics as a matter of course.
Obama did it too, only worse.
It's what his politics were all about. His politics are about removing as many non-white people clearly from the country as they can, 3,000 a day.
And that's what Obama's policy was too.
The policy here.
That's what Obama's policy was too.
No, it was not. And there was no rendering of people. There was a process for deportation, and you know that it's materially different.
As we sit here, Obama deported more people pro rata per year than Trump has ever done.
How many did he render to a third party? How many did he render to a third party? Because what he's also doing is
you're outraged by Trump, but you're not outraged by Obama.
I'm absolutely outraged by fascism and by snatching people off the streets.
But Obama wasn't a fascist.
No process.
He's not.
Absolutely, I'm
and because Obama's got brown skin, he's not a fascist. Is that your policy?
Well, that's your simplistic, racialized way of looking at it.
It's yours about
Trump. On the show.
It's yours about Trump.
No, mine is about fascism.
I want to move on. I don't want to spend the whole time talking about this.
Person that behaves the way he does, trying to take people's citizenship away, denaturalizing. That's Idi Amin behavior. There's a black fascist that you can compare it to.
Okay, let's move on to.
Dude, I'm fucking cooked for today. Oh, fuck. Yeah, there's there's a problem. Oh, jeez. I'm gonna have to take tonight off. My back is just fucked. I, like, can't think straight, and I'm just, I just can't do it. I'm gonna try like stretching, getting some rest, maybe take some like Tylenol or something to have my back calm down, but my back is just really fucked tonight. But I'm not gonna be training tomorrow. So hopefully I'll just be able to do a long stream tomorrow, start in the afternoon or something. But yeah, hopefully Aaron P can stream. Card won't let me donate to you. It says you're fraud. What the fuck? Give me a second. There couldn't possibly be an issue with my account. Okay, I changed a setting on my PayPal that might have blocked certain people from doing a payment. But anyway, my back is absolutely fucked. I have to just go lie down and rest. Yeah, I scammed. I didn't do the sit-ups, but I'll see you all tomorrow. I'm gonna take some Tylenol, chill out. But big thanks to everybody who donated on Streamlabs. Really appreciate it. And I'll see you all tomorrow.